Hello, my friends. Amberlynn uploaded her 6th episode of Let's Talk. It says, I was never told to go to the doctor. So I'm not sure what this is referring to. I'm assuming her, I guess I can't say anything that might upset YouTube. So her C word. But you know, I feel like if you're having issues, regardless of what they are, you shouldn't have to be told to go to the doctor. But you know what? We'll see what she's actually gonna say here in a little bit. Using scooters and the craziest story time, I'm sure. So let's just see what all this nonsense is about. If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would literally be hectic. I'm not gonna lie.
Hello, welcome to another Let's Talk video. So let's start with Sweet and Sour. That's where I take the last Let's Talk from last week. I use a random comment generator. I choose the first comments I see of that, and I give you guys a shout out pretty much. Cinnamoroll.cherry said, girl, it's not fat phobia if you're literally over 500 pounds.
So I'm pretty sure what this is referring to is, in the last one, they were talking about her having diabetes and stuff, and she was like, it is just fat phobic to be like, yeah, the fat girl has diabetes. Other people can have diabetes too.
The narrative that I have diabetes is literally just fat phobia. Not every single fat person has diabetes, and not every single person that has diabetes is fat. It's really that simple.
Like, yeah, but I mean, when you're morbidly obese, the chances of getting diabetes are pretty good. So it's not like it's far-fetched to think that she either has diabetes or is at risk for diabetes, because she absolutely is at that weight. She is far more likely to get diabetes than, you know, somebody who's not morbidly obese.
That genuinely makes no sense. Lusamina.
The problem is the person that made that comment wasn't specific enough, right? They said, girl, it's not fat phobia if you're over 500 pounds. What they were referring to, I'm almost positive, is the diabetes thing. But they were too vague, so she could go, that doesn't make sense. That's total fat phobia. That gave her an opportunity to play the victim. So if you're going to make a comment on her channel, which I don't recommend doing, be more specific. Okay, here's another glazing comment.
Said, I liked this so much. Love your confidence and positivity in this episode. Yes, always stand up for yourself, always use your voice, and don't let anyone trump on you. Seriously, thank you so much for the positivity and a bunch of
this nonsense. Oh my God, you are 34 years old. Stop acting like a 12-year-old.
Hearts to you as well. Lady Whistledown F1F said, you use electronic carts and you know you do. And there's a 0% chance that you don't have diabetes.
So I'm on board with the scooter thing. I think she absolutely does use scooters. Or at the very least, she doesn't walk around for an hour and a half like she said she does.
Electric scooters. I will be talking more about that in Tier Tale, so wait till the end for that. As for the diabetes, I'm not even pre-diabetic. I have been checked multiple times over and over through the years. It's as shocking to me as it is for you.
Wait a minute. I thought she said that thinking that she has diabetes because she's that size is just fat phobia.
The narrative that I have diabetes is literally just fat phobia.
Why is she shocked that she doesn't have it? She lies so much that she just can't keep it straight, you know?
Trust me, if I had diabetes with the insurance that I have, I'd be able to take Ozempic for only $25 a month. Sadly, since I do not have diabetes, if I ever do want to take Ozempic and not the compounded stuff, it's like $1,200 a month.
So obviously she could just be lying about all that, but I don't see her being responsible enough to handle insulin, right? To handle diabetes, because it's a lot of work and she just couldn't do it. So if she ever does get diabetes, she is screwed.
All right, so next is Sippin' Community, and that is where I leave a little community tab post for you guys. So you can leave me questions, concerns, topics that you want me to talk about, etc., etc. Let's get into it. Why do you say that you refuse to film your worst days of eating and that you're accountable at the same time? Because obviously I'm ashamed and I know the backlash that I would receive. There are a lot of people online who do share their overeating problems or their...
So here's the thing. I don't think she necessarily needs to share or show her worst days of eating. She just needs to be more honest about what she's eating on a regular basis. Her best days are worse than she's saying, but even if she did show her worst day, you know it wouldn't be honest. You know she'd be pretending like, this is my worst day. You guys, I ate like 3,200 calories, you know. So
people online who do share their overeating problems or their binging or whatever it may be, and they get a lot of like positive comments and a lot of support. But when I do it, because I am my size, I get a lot of hate. But when I say...
Shut up. This is victim mentality. First of all, I'd like to know who these thin people are that are sharing their problems with binge eating and overeating. Like, who is that exactly? And the main problem, the main reason she gets so much hate is because she refuses to do anything about it, right? If she shares, this is my problem with binge eating, it's like you have been given so many opportunities to do something about it. You've been given so much information. You know exactly how to do something about it. You just refuse, right? You need help. You've been told you need help, and you just don't do it. So that's why you get hate. You don't get hate just because you're big, but that's her. Again, she blames everything on her weight. It couldn't possibly be her. It's just that people are fat phobic, you guys. People hate me because I'm fat. That's the only reason I get all the hate.
And you suffer with those same exact things that I suffer with, you get support. It's actually really sad. And it's
Again, who is thin and suffering from the same exact things that she is? That makes no sense.
definitely triggering, so I just don't want to put myself in that position.
She has just come up with the idea that anything that makes her uncomfortable or mad is triggering. I don't think she even knows what that word actually means.
Did you say your therapist had suggested the BPD workbook? Yes, my EMDR therapist actually suggested it, but my DBT therapist said that I should not be doing a workbook alongside the therapy that she's teaching because it would conflict with the therapy that she's doing.
So her EMDR therapist recommended this workbook. And then whenever she switched therapists to the DBT therapist, they said you shouldn't be doing that. So here's my theory, okay? Of course, this is just a theory. But I have found out that if you just Google, there are online DBT courses you can take. And most of those are probably not going to be as in-depth and as structured and rigid as you need them to be. Some of them might be. But if you watched my interview with a therapist, you will know that you can actually find DBT therapy on BetterHelp. So there is a chance, probably a pretty good chance, that she is doing her DBT on BetterHelp or something like that. Because it has to be online. She's not going anywhere to do it. So here's what I think happened. She said that her therapist recommended this workbook, and it sort of started circulating around Girl World that it's really weird that a therapist would just say, hey, here's a workbook, have fun, let me know how it goes. And Therapy Today actually mentioned that in his video, that it's a little weird that she just is doing a workbook kind of on her own. And then she's like, yeah, my therapist decided to tell me that I shouldn't be doing the workbook along with our therapy because, that's just a lot of stuff to work on at once. So they told me to stop doing the workbook. Like, okay, my theory is she just is Googling everything as she goes. Most of what she says about BPD is stuff you can find online. Most of the stuff she says about DBT is either wrong or it is stuff you can find online. So I think the far more likely scenario is that she just doesn't have a DBT therapist. But if she does, chances are it's something like BetterHelp.
Why do you constantly go against the advice of professionals knowing it has gotten you absolutely nowhere? I think what's really frustrating is I have seen all sorts of different professionals because of my weight, and they all give contradicting advice. And I think it's because...
Oh, shut up. No, they... First of all, I don't believe for a second that she's seen so many professionals about her weight. I just don't. I think she's seen Dr. Google about her weight, and that's it. And just like she said, her doctor apparently told her she can't do the diet that's recommended for lymphedema because that would hurt her gallbladder, you guys, because it's high fat. But then she eats all the fat that she wants, But the bottom line is this. If a professional tells her, this is what I recommend, if it's not what she wants to do, she's just not going to do it. Right? If it's not what she already kind of had in mind, or if it's not something that she enjoys doing, she's just not going to do it. And then she's going to blame them for being contradictory or being wrong or misleading her or something like that. It's never her fault. And she's just never going to do something she doesn't want to do.
Everyone is different, and what works for someone else might not work for the second person in line. I think every advice that I have got is something that could work for somebody, but it is crazy how all professionals give different advice. A good example of that is because I do suffer with disordered eating, when I was going to an eating disorder outpatient program, they told me that
So Beanbag and a Curry makes great videos. And one of the things they do is in the corner here, you will see kind of what era we're in whenever you're watching a video. So if it's the Beck era, a picture of Beck is right here. And right now it's the Feline era. So I think that's awesome. So kudos to them for doing that. And also, thank you, Sunny and Second, for sending me this clip of the outpatient quote. So this is where she talks about how much time she spent in outpatient, okay? I think it's probably even less than what she's saying here, but she basically just went to a few appointments. So let's just see what she says here.
I had multiple, like several appointments with the program. So I've had easily over 10 hours of outpatient program. And I know that those 10 hours honestly did change a big part of my brain. Am I saying I'll like not do outpatient forever? No, maybe I will go back. But I'm taking what I did learn already, using that. And I'm also using what I already knew. It turns out I knew more than I freaking thought. Like my psychologist was like, you're smarter than you think. And I was like, ooh, I feel like.
So that is her basically explaining why she quit outpatient, because she already knew everything, you guys. And she says that she went to 10 hours or so. I'm not buying that at all. She always exaggerates. So whatever she's about to say about outpatient is basically just pointless, because she barely went to outpatient and she quit because she claims she already knew everything. Because of course her doctor told her, you're smarter than you think. You know, you're so smart. I'm so impressed.
Very thing that will make me continue overeating and having the program. They told me that the very thing overeating when I was going to an eating disorder outpatient program, they told me that the very thing that will make me continue overeating and having that disordered eating is counting calories. So they told me not to do it. They told me to give in to my cravings. And let's just say if I go see Dr. Now, for an example, he would tell me to only eat 1,200 calories, which is like so disordered. He would be telling me not to eat carbs, etc., etc. But then say I go to a nutritionist, they'd be teaching me how to eat all the food groups, including carbs. Like it's just like a...
So the problem is she just hyper focuses on a specific part of what each one of them is saying. And I've said this a few times, but when she said, yeah, I'm supposed to give in to my cravings, there's more to it than that. The advice isn't just give in to your cravings, full stop. There is a method to it, right? But she doesn't stick around long enough to find out what the method is or why they say that. And then she says, and Dr. Now would put me on a 1,200 calorie a day diet. That's so disordered. Like, no, that's just low calorie, you know? And is it hard? Probably, especially when you're used to eating this much. Yeah, I'm sure it's hard, but it's not disordered, you know? So she's going to find the worst in anything any doctor tells her and use that as an excuse for not doing it. Because like her outpatient doctor told her, she's so smart. She knows it all already.
Vicious circle of like all professionals are right. Like obviously they're professionals for a reason, but they all contradict each other and it's definitely confusing.
They're all right, but they just don't know how special she is, you guys. She's very unique. So none of these professionals can really give her the right answer because she is so special.
Apparently someone found out you can bring outside food to your fave bingo hall. What was the point of telling us no outside food allowed? There's literally signs in every single bingo hall that we go to that say that you cannot bring food or drinks, outside food or drinks, into the bingo hall. Nobody does it because you are not allowed to.
I mean, yeah, they say that about the movies too, right? But people bring in their own food to the movies all the time. I mean, is it poor form? Especially at a bingo hall? Yeah. And of course, it's a little bit more obvious when you're at a bingo hall bringing out your sandwiches or whatever that you brought from home than it would be at the movie where it's dark.
I respect the bingo halls.
I don't think it matters because she eats the junk at the bingo hall anyway, right? She already eats crap there that's high calorie, high fat, high carb. So she doesn't really need to bring in her own food to eat junk because it's already there. She can just buy it there. I think what they were trying to do is just catch her in a lie. And that's why she picked that comment, because it really wasn't that big a deal. Like, nobody really cares whether she takes her own food. It's just, again, it's a way for her to kind of clap back. And that one in particular was so that she could be like, I respect the bingo halls, you guys. I'm not going to break the rules and bring my own food because I am a rule follower. Just ask my doctor. I follow all the doctor's orders. That's why I can't do keto.
All right, you guys, so it is time for an interview. That is where you can go to my Instagram and you can interview me using your voice by just sending me a message with a voice memo. If you don't have...
Just think of the narcissism on display here, right? You can interview me. Like, she just thinks she is an actual celebrity. And unfortunately, there are people out there that sort of make her feel like a celebrity because they keep kissing her ass and telling her how wonderful she is. The fact that her entire life and all the interactions she has with her audience is just allowing them to ask her questions about herself. I don't know, man, it's gross.
The option to do so, just send me a microphone emoji and then I'll send you a smiley face emoji back and it'll give you the option to do so. Just remember, no matter when you have sent me that voice memo, you still have a chance of being chosen because I choose old and I choose new. Let's get into it.
So that's a little weird. She says that she listens to old and new. So it could be any that anybody has sent ever throughout the whole course of her, doing this. But in the last one, somebody said, when you read this, it'll be my birthday.
Try and stay strong with your goals. Clearly their lives are too boring. Also, thank you for your approval. I've always asked questions, but have never been featured. It's my birthday this week on the 24th, and this is a super awesome present.
Oh my gosh, well, happy freaking birthday, hello. And this person really is a supporter because 5 years ago, they sent me a message.
So that person said, thank you for approving me. So how would she have known that she was going to get picked? And how would she have known that it would have been picked on her birthday? And it's obviously an AI voice, and it's just kissing Amber's ass. So all of that is fishy. And I love how at the end she says, and this real humans person is a real supporter because 5 years ago they sent me a message. Like, you're laying it on a little thick. That's those extra details we were talking about earlier that show you're lying. That's what's happening right now.
Hey Amber, I've been a fan for years, so thank you for this opportunity. I have a couple questions. The first one is, do you ever go back and look at your old footage? And how does that feel? And what would you want to tell your old self if you could now? And then my other question...
I'll answer the first one first.
It's going to be, I would go back and tell myself, girl, you've got BPD. You're having trouble regulating your emotions, but you can do it. You're strong.
First, yes, I do sometimes go back and look at my old content. If I can go back in time, I would tell myself to do things differently in my personal life and here publicly. Weight related, I would tell myself, lose weight, get healthier.
Yeah, but how? How? You can't just say, hey, girl, lose weight. You've been trying that your whole life. Girl, lose weight, get healthier. Yeah, that's the problem, right? You can't just do that. You've got to figure out how. So even if you could talk to your old self, you have no information to give her. So listening to this again, it just sort of dawned on me that whether it's weight loss related or relationship related or mental health related, anything, current Amberlynn has no good information to give past Amberlynn to help her at all. She hasn't really changed. She has never taken accountability and never will. So what could she possibly tell her old self that would make any difference at all? There's just nothing.
I would be like, bro, like, go to therapy, lose weight, get healthier. Mental health related, I would be like, bro, like, go to therapy sooner. You have BPD. Get that under control. Relationship wise,
What'd I say? I got to tell you, girl, you've got BPD. Oh, man.
Mental health related, I would stop wasting my time on people just so I didn't have to be alone, because back then I was scared to be alone.
I would stop wasting my time on people. Yeah, that's what's happened. Yeah, she definitely wasted her time on people. Not that she got in a relationship, she treated them like crap, and then eventually they got tired of her and left. No. She wasted her time on them.
Sure, Jan.
Financially, I would save money. Publicly, I wouldn't share certain things. I would keep some of the personal things that I have shared online. I would keep those private. And there's a lot of other things as well, but...
Obviously not what we would want her to tell herself. We would like for her to tell herself, hey, stop being a total narcissist and a user and I can't say the A word, an A-worder, right? Freaking YouTube. One thing she has started doing, if you'll notice, and she started it with Jade, is she is just not showing her relationships hardly at all. Emily, she did a little bit. Emily was a little bit more confident getting on camera, but even then, it wasn't much. And it's because she can't hide her true nature. And so I think she just hides her relationships completely, pretty much, because then the mask can't slip.
That's just a few.
And my other question is kind of looking more to the future. If you ever did get to your goal weight, what would be kind of the first thing you'd want to do? What's something that you haven't been able to do?
I mean, at this point, she might as well say, when I hit my goal weight, I'm going to grow wings and fly to the moon, because she is just as likely to do that as to actually hit her goal weight.
At your current self that you really, really want to. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you as well. So I really don't know what my goal weight is per se, but there is like a certain feeling that is my goal that I'm...
Yeah, her certain feeling, it's the stamina, I mean, she's walking for an hour and a half at the grocery store. So, I mean, she's pretty much there if you think about it.
Striving for. And that feeling is just like better stamina and just lighter on my feet, just feeling better physically, mentally, internally, externally. And something I really want to do is like...
Well, isn't that convenient? Just feeling better, feeling light on my feet. And I'm feeling pretty light on my feet lately, so I'm good. These calories and stuff, like, who cares? I am fine. My stamina is very good. There's no real need to lose, like, actual weight because it's a feeling,
hop on a plane and go somewhere, like travel somewhere like Las Vegas. Vegas Lynn like needs to happen.
She could do that now. That's the crazy thing. Like, what is stopping her, right? Like, yes, she's big and it would be uncomfortable for a little bit, but she can do it. If she really wanted to go to Las Vegas or Bora Bora or whatever, she could do it right now. I mean, just look at J-Bay. Of course, she's in jail, so she's not doing much traveling right now. But also Glitter and Lasers. They travel all over the world, and they're as big as Amberlynn. Now, they get most of their stuff for free because they're not quite as controversial as Amberlynn. Of course, J-Bay has probably lost all that now because, you know, the whole jail thing. But she could afford her trips anyway, so if they could do it, she could easily do it. She's just too lazy. Can you imagine her actually like doing the work involved in like getting the tickets and setting up the hotel and doing all that stuff? You think she's gonna do that? Hell no.
So this might be TMI, but I just clogged the toilet, right? And we have no plunger because we just moved. And the plunger's fine.
Somewhere, like travel somewhere like Las Vegas. Vegas Lynn like needs to happen.
So this might be TMI, but I just clogged the toilet, right? And we have no plunger because we just moved. And the plunger's still at the old house because we haven't moved everything in yet. So I tried to use the hot water and dish soap method, and it just overflowed the toilet, and the toilet looks like a bathtub, and it did not work at all. And then I had to stress out about it, and then I used a toilet brush, and it worked within like 5 seconds.
I think they got the wrong number.
So I just wanted to ask, do you have any embarrassing toilet clogging stories like mine?
Wow.
If you don't, that's okay.
Okay. You know she does, but I will be surprised if she shares any of it.
I'm confused by the toilet looking like a bathtub, because what bathtub is dirty like that? But no, I don't have any embarrassing clogging stories.
Okay, you don't have any toilet clogging stories. Are you buying that? Bro, here's the thing. You know what? I'm not going to get into it. Never mind.
Thank you for the story time. I'm glad you got it figured out and you gave my audience a suggestion. If you don't have a clogger or it's not working, use your
A clogger. I know she just sort of misspoke. She wasn't thinking about what she was saying, so I don't think she thinks it's called a clogger. She obviously heard plunger, but clogger is the opposite of what they need.
your toilet brush, because it might work.
Hey girl, my question to you is, if you could collab with any YouTuber of your choice, who would it be?
I would definitely collab with someone from the lolcow universe. I have been...
So don't worry, I absolutely noticed that she mentions lolcow and like herself in the same sentence, and I will get to that in a minute. So don't think that I let that slide.
kind of obsessed lately. I'm not gonna lie about it. I know Keemstar wants me on lolcow Live, but then Becky wants me on lolcow Queens. Roxy wants me on lolcow Milkers. And I'm just like, I don't know.
She won't do any group content ever. She can't share the spotlight. You know, in my interview that got freaking age restricted, I'm just a little bitter about that. But anyway, we talk about HPD and just this extreme need for attention. And it's pretty extreme to the point where if somebody's not getting the attention that they want, like in a group setting, they feel uncomfortable, right? They need to do something to get the attention back on them. Now, the interesting thing about Amber is we rarely see her in a group setting where we can even measure that, right? Where we can even determine if that's the case. Now, we used to, back during like the Beck era with Eric and Ricky and all them, there was a little bit of that, you know? She tended to want the attention on herself all the time. She would be really loud and boisterous and try to draw attention all the time, especially on camera. Now, am I saying I think she has HPD? Not really. I don't think it quite goes to that level, but I definitely think she would not want to share the attention with a group of people on like a podcast or anything like that. She just wants to talk about herself. She doesn't give a single shit about what anybody else is doing, what anybody else has to say. So she would not collab. She would not do a group show or anything like that.
To do, can I just like be on all of them? I am kind of shy though. I know it doesn't seem like it because I have a whole YouTube channel, but like I am genuinely obsessed with that whole universe. Like it's just crazy. And I like how like they all like are cutthroat, but I think at the end of the day, they all just genuinely are like a knit group of friends, and everything they're doing is definitely...
It's a close-knit group, and she uses the excuse that she's shy, but it really is just that she doesn't want to share the attention.
definitely for entertainment. That's like the company. That's probably what Keemstar said to do. Like, be as entertaining as possible. I don't take any of it like to heart or at heart. I feel like at the end of the day, they all have each other's backs, and it's just like hella entertaining to me.
My question to you, Amber, is how you still remain graceful.
I will say though, how crazy is it that she kind of admits that she's a lol cow? Like, my flabbers are officially gasted, you know? That she actually sort of claimed that she would fit in with a lol cow situation type deal. I don't know. The way she said it, she sounded like she kind of understands that she's part of the lol cow universe, you know?
My question to you, Amber, is how you still remain graceful in this situation, and as much as people dogpile on you. Like, how? I obviously seen you this question before.
Okay, so they said, how do you remain graceful in this situation when people dogpile on you all the time? I can think of a lot of words to describe Amberlynn Reid, but graceful is not on that list anywhere. Especially when it comes to like responding to hate or ignoring hate or just being so strong, because it's all she talks about. She cannot help herself but respond to reaction channels and respond to the haters. It is painfully obvious that it's all she thinks about besides food.
So I will say sometimes I'm not as graceful. Sometimes I really can let my emotions get to me, but it makes sense. Like, I have people messaging me all the time saying, how do you deal with the mob mentality? How do you deal with people just, as you said, dogpiling on you for like no reason? Things are a bit extreme, and I don't know how I'm so graceful. I don't know how I handle it. I genuinely
See, I just don't know. I'm just a hero, you guys. It was just my childhood. My childhood turned me into a hero.
I think sometimes it's easier to fight war with peace instead of destruction.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That's what she's known for, is fighting war with peace instead of destruction. If fighting war with peace means taking everything that the person at war has said and obsessing over it and then talking about it ad nauseum, then I mean, I guess.
Sorry for the delay. I was feeling really sick and I didn't have a voice for a while to send you a voice note. I just wanted to ask, why?
What do they mean, sorry for the delay?
Sorry for the delay.
She said that like Amber was expecting a message from her. I'm guessing her fans are like delusional, right? They're kind of weirdos. Because what it sounds like to me is this person heard that Amberlynn is taking interviews or voice messages, and she was like, oh, Amber's really looking forward to mine. I can't do it. I'm sick. She's going to be so upset with me that I didn't get her a message sooner. Oh, no. Amber doesn't even know she exists. And even if she did, she would not give a single shit if this person sent her a message or not, you know? So the fact that that person said, sorry for the delay, like Amber would be like, oh, you know what? I was really expecting a message sooner. She doesn't know you exist, and she doesn't care that you exist.
Do you not take your estradiol anymore, your estrogen that you were prescribed after your hysterectomy? Why do you not take the medication that you were prescribed for your high blood pressure that you were diagnosed with?
Okay, so this is like really long. There's still a minute and 14 seconds left, and I'm gonna forget these questions. So I'm just gonna answer them now. I was actually prescribed a low dose of high blood pressure medicine, I think back in 2019, and it was making me feel wonky. So I talked to my doctor about it. She took me off of it because like back then I didn't have high blood pressure. It was like very low key, like moderate.
Well, I don't know about that, because in 2019, that was when she was at her highest weight, and she was looking bad, guys. Like, it was, if she didn't have high blood pressure, then I'm Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? She was in such bad shape that, of course she did. So if a doctor did prescribe her blood pressure medicine back then, it was for a good reason. And eventually she did lose some of that weight. And so she probably didn't need it anymore. So all she has to say is, yeah, I was in really bad shape in 2019 and now I'm not anymore. So, but no, I really didn't have high blood pressure. Like, yes, you did. I mean, look at that face. That kind of says it all, right? I mean, this is a face you can trust.
High blood pressure. So she took me off of it and then wanted to test and see if I had high blood pressure, like for real. So I had to take my blood pressure at home, had to like log it. And then I had to show her the log. I had to go in, she had to do it. And I didn't have high blood pressure. And she was like, you shouldn't be on this medicine.
There is no chance that she did her own blood pressure at home and then logged it and then took it. But like, no, that did not happen. She says that about so many things, like, yeah, I ended up talking to the doctor and they said, you don't have this, it's fine. She claims to be diagnosed with something. And then when she's found out that she's not taking the medication, or she's not talking about it anymore, or she's not doing the things that you're supposed to do when you have whatever it is she's claiming, Then she says, oh, yeah, later I went back to the doctor and they said, oh, you don't have it. Never mind.
So I think when I get super anxious or I'm stressed, especially back in like 2019, if like I walked a lot, like back then my mobility was horrific. So even just walking the parking lot and then walking in the doctor's office, et cetera, it definitely raised my blood pressure. And she said that's not enough to like keep me on the medicine. So that's why I don't take that. As for the estrogen, it was actually prescribed to me falsely. I shouldn't have been taking it. And I was taking it for 2 years. I actually have all of this documented in videos. And I ended up going to an appointment to talk to
That doesn't mean anything. She makes stuff up so much that honestly, if it's in a video, I am far more likely to think it's a lie than an actual documentation of her life, you know?
my oncologist being like, why was this prescribed to me? Like, I wasn't supposed to be taking this. And she was as shocked as I was, to be honest. But it turns out it was a new person at their job that prescribed it and like no one caught on to it.
Oh, yeah, you know, just those new people prescribing medications. What are you going to do? She walked in there. She's like, this is my first day. How about some estrogen? That sounds good. How do people that like her believe this nonsense? This is so stupid.
Me taking that medicine due to the surgery, the cancer that I had, the grade and the stage, it actually made it to where I could easily get cancer again because of that medicine. So I'm not supposed to be taking it at all. I'm actually, unfortunately, not supposed to be taking any estrogen, which is very unfortunate.
So here's what happened, in my opinion. She claimed that she was on estrogen or whatever, and somebody said, well, what are you taking? She Googled it. And then, of course, gorlworld does what gorlworld does, and they looked into it, and they were like, you shouldn't be taking that. And then she was like, oh, yeah, I went to the doctor, and they said it was a new girl, and they prescribed it by accident, and so I wasn't supposed to be on it. Whew, I dodged a bullet there, you guys. And this is the problem with her lies, is she can't keep them straight, so she has to, like, lie on top of lie on top of lie, and it becomes a big, giant ball of nonsense, you know?
Because I do miss it. I can definitely tell a big difference since I've been off of it.
And why do you not take your Lamictal or any type of the mood stabilizers or antidepressants that you used to be on?
So I was on Lamictal for about 5 years, and I took it religiously for 4 years. And I don't know why, but the last year of me being on it, I would go like a week without taking it. So Lamictal, you are not supposed to do that because Lamictal is a very serious mood stabilizer. And at the time,
I don't think she was on it for that long. So what I could find was Amber did start talking about a mood stabilizer in 2019, and she stopped talking about it in 2022. And she was talking about it saying, I'm taking it or whatever in 2022. But she also always claims that she hates medication. She doesn't like taking medicine. She won't take it and all that stuff. She's scared of it and stuff like that. But listen to this. I just thought this was interesting.
I kind of want to document this. I've doubled my dosage of my mood stabilizer. I think today is day 5.
Now, I don't know if her doctor told her to do that, but it gets crazier. Watch this.
Today is day 1 of taking triple the amount of my mood stabilizer that I started with. So, fun times.
And I didn't see anywhere that she said that her doctor told her to do that. I mean, I have to assume that somebody told her to do that. So I just thought these were weird, that she doubled and tripled her dosage. So this is the last time that I can see her mentioning mood stabilizers, other than talking about them in the past tense, that she used to take them. This is the last time she actually says, I take them.
That's all it is. I only take 2 medicines every single day. I take Zoloft and I take Lamictal. Zoloft for anxiety and then Lamictal because I'm bipolar.
Her life got a lot easier when she could just put one AirPod in instead of having to put one ear cup on her ear. So the first time she talked about it was in 2019, and the last time she talked about it was in 2022.
and they said, okay, let's tamper you off of it nice and slowly. I didn't do that, which is my
It's not tamper, it's taper.
fault, my bad. Don't follow my footsteps. I'm not perfect, I'm only human. But I did stop taking it and I felt fine. It wasn't until like a year later that I realized, oh damn, I'm kind of getting bad again. It took a lot for me to even start the Lamictal in general because I am fearful of medicine. So that fear made it easier for me not to go back on it.
Well, and the mood stabilizer was for bipolar, but she's not bipolar. So she has basically taken a ton of medicine that she didn't need for a year.
In the same vein, also, why do you never take any type of vitamin or anything?
I do take vitamins. I actually take iron and a multivitamin.
I noticed that you have been mentioning that you have hair loss and that kind of thing. And certain types of vitamins and supplements especially would really help with that, and so would taking your estrogen.
I'm sadly not allowed to take estrogen. I've tried. I've talked to a few doctors about it, my oncologist, and I'm just not allowed to.
It's weird that she says allowed to, right? That is such a childish way of looking at things. My doctor won't allow me to, like it's a parent or something. And I think that sort of speaks to her stuntedness. You know, she's stuck in sort of a childhood mentality where somebody has told her no, so that means she's not allowed to do something.
You definitely don't get the vitamins from diet. Neither do I. I have to take a bunch of vitamins. And also, you don't take your estrogen anymore, so your body does not have enough to...
What is the point in telling her all this? She's not going to listen to anything anybody says. You can give her the perfect advice, and she is going to go, thank you, and then move on. She doesn't care. She's not going to do anything she doesn't want to do.
Girl, you're telling me things I know. I feel so sad about it. Trust me, my hair has turned to shit ever since my hysterectomy and me not having estrogen anymore.
Oh yeah, it's definitely because of the hysterectomy and the lack of estrogen, not because you don't take care of it at all and you never wash it and you treat it like shit.
All right, you guys, now it's time for tea or tail. It's where I take the rumors that I hear about me and I tell you if it's tea or I tell you if it's tail. So this is two of them, but it kind of goes hand in hand. Amberlynn rides scooters in the store and Amberlynn doesn't even go grocery shopping. So I don't feel like digging through my vlogs because I'm good, but I'm just going to show you like my most recent vlogs to show you that that's not true. So I'm about to show you a few clips from literally my most recent weekly vlogs. Keep in mind, all of these clips are from different weekly vlogs, so it's not all part of the same vlog. In one vlog here, you can see that I am walking towards the mochi. You can tell that I'm walking when I open the door. I show it to you, close the door, etc. So I highly recommend these, my mochis, but there's usually more flavors. For some reason, there's just strawberry, which that's my least favorite, so I'm not gonna get those, but they're delish. The next clip I'm going to show you is me literally standing, and you can see me right in the beginning move the cart towards me. You cannot do that with a scooter, I can tell you that. I move the cart towards me. I'm putting my food on the belt from my cart.
Here is a time lapse, and here is some music to go with the time lapse.
You notice that Mama Lynn is filming, right? Mama Lynn had to take her to the grocery store. So it is very possible that Amberlynn rides on a scooter, and then whenever it's time to do something like this, she stands up and starts moving stuff from the cart or whatever, and Mama Lynn films her. And then when Mama Lynn is done filming her, she gets back on the scooter. So I am convinced that Mama Lynn is helping her sort of paint this picture that she is just, you know, tootling about without a scooter.
Then you'll see in another clip from another recent vlog, me literally with my cart, putting water in my cart, and then I show you my cart.
In this one, she's trying to make it look like she's by herself. But she didn't get to the grocery store on her own. Mama Lynn had to take her. Unless she took an Uber, which is unlikely. So I'm guessing the scooter is just off camera here. Mama Lynn is probably standing with the scooter while Amberlynn is doing all this right here. This isn't proving anything. That's the problem. Amberlynn shows stuff and it doesn't help. She doesn't show anything that is like definite proof. Because what she doesn't understand is we are smart enough to know she can't go to the grocery store by herself. Mama Lynn had to take her. Yeah, I remember that when she was struggling to get the water into the cart when she could have just gone to the other side, but
it didn't fit down there, so I had to put it up here. And then the next clip, I'm literally walking down an aisle talking to you guys about a subscriber. Hello, jump scare. I'm at the grocery store, and I just met the sweetest subscriber. She was so pretty with the cutest little piercings.
And it would prove something if we didn't know, say it with me, Mama Lynn took her to the grocery store. So she is there somewhere. And it would not surprise me at all if Amberlynn said, here, hang with the scooter for a minute. I'm going to walk down this aisle and film myself. I'll be right back. And she took the cart, walked down the aisle, and then met back with Mama Lynn and got back on the scooter. I mean, that is an absolute possibility and probably pretty likely.
So again, proving that I go grocery shopping weekly. I do not get my groceries delivered. I did get them delivered this last week because
I think she does more than she's letting on.
Cellulitis, and it's also showing that I do not use a scooter anymore.
Mama Lynn had to take her, right? Because I really don't see Amberlynn having an Uber take her there and then having another Uber take her home with her groceries. Even though she's making it look like she's by herself, Mama Lynn has to be there.
So I actually have not used a scooter in years, and it's something that I'm actually greatly proud of. I know that's a normal human thing, but I'm telling you, I use scooters even in my early 20s. It's a weird energy that people like actually want me to use scooters just so they have something to make fun of me about instead of just being like, wow, Amberlynn, like I'm glad you don't do that anymore. Next one.
And again, all of the things that people want to make fun of you for stem from the fact that you choose to do nothing about it. You make excuses after excuses after excuses, and that is why people make fun. But it's not making fun, it's pointing out how bad things are because of your choices, because you have put yourself in a position where you have to use a scooter.
One is Amberlynn over-explains herself when she is lying. So I over-explain myself for several reasons. And
Methinks she has been watching my videos because I tend to talk about her tells a lot. And one of them I always say is she's explaining things too much. And when she over-explains, that means she's lying because she's trying to add little details to make it sound believable. I mean, it just seems a little coincidental is all.
I over-explain myself for several reasons, and lying is not one of them. I notice that when I don't over-explain something, people have literally told me, like, Amberlynn, you're being too vague. That's how I know you're lying. Amberlynn, you're being too vague, and that's why everyone else fills in the blanks. But over-explaining actually comes from trauma. It is a trauma response. I don't know if you guys have ever heard.
Oh, good Lord. Oh my God. Over-explaining is a trauma response, you guys. Whether it is or not, it has nothing to do with Amberlynn. It's not a trauma response for her. It's a tell that she's lying. And the funny thing is, she just talked about how she is so strong and so graceful. You know, I just don't know how I do it. And then she goes on to say, if I'm too vague, people say I'm lying. But if I over-explain, people say I'm lying. So it's like, if you were so graceful and you were so strong, you would just ignore them. You know, I don't think she understands that the way to not look like you're lying or the way to look graceful is just to live your life and not think about how you're being portrayed. If people start talking about you lying and stuff like that, if you were so graceful and so strong, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't acknowledge it. But it's all she talks about.
Heard of like the fight or flight. A lot of people forget about fawning. I am a fawner. I fawn a lot. It's genuinely a stress response. And as hard as it is to believe, I get stressed. I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to YouTube. And my lack of regulating my emotions causes the anxiety as well. It causes me to be extremely overwhelmed. And over-explaining is actually a way that I cope. I don't just do this online. I also do this in my real life. I over-explain, I repeat things. It could be seen as actually pretty annoying, but it's a coping mechanism. Last one.
Oh my God, it's a coping mechanism. Shut up. She turns every situation into a way for herself to be the victim. You know what she could have said? Yeah, I tend to over-explain things. Sorry. I probably wouldn't have believed her because I still think it's a tell that she's lying, but at least she wouldn't have come off acting like the victim again.
Beck kept urging Amberlynn to go to the doctor for her constant bleeding. So this one's frustrating because no, they did not at all. During live stream era, they even admitted that they didn't. They admitted that they called me a hypochondriac all the time, and they even said that they were thinking I was being a hypochondriac about my bleeding.
It's hypochondriac, not hyperchondriac. But here's the thing. It doesn't really matter. Anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together would see that much blood and say, maybe get that checked out. So I don't really care whether Beck was telling you or not. It's your responsibility. It's your body. If you're bleeding that much, you should know to go to the doctor. And it's blaming everybody else, never taking responsibility or accountability for anything.
They admitted this, but for some reason, with the recent things that have happened, they rewrote the narrative for the newer audience that never.
It's rewrote, or they have rewritten. But again, she is now blaming Beck again for not going to the doctor by saying, they really didn't tell me to go to the doctor, you guys. I would have if they would have said something.
Never sat through live stream era to make it seem like they cared and they urged me to go to the doctor when that never happened. The night that I finally was rushed to the ER, I actually had to beg Beck to take me. And they also admitted to that during live stream era.
So you may remember this from Mr. Snowflake's Victims of an Empath about Beck. Not very long ago.
I didn't blame Beck for that, but I did at the time blame Beck for not taking me to an appointment sooner. And for that, that's fucked up. That ain't right. They would have, if I would have asked sooner, quicker, faster, this or that, they would have taken me. So at the time, blaming her years ago, stupid behavior on my end.
It almost sounds like you just can't keep your story straight. And maybe blaming other people for your mishandling of your medical issues probably isn't the play. You are still blaming Beck for your medical decisions when anybody that was bleeding that much would have known, maybe I should get this checked out. And not when it became so bad that you had no other choice. You should have had it checked out years before that. Man, the fact that she is still blaming Beck. Now, of course, that live stream where Amber said, yeah, Beck would have taken me if I'd asked, that was kind of right at the beginning of Beck coming out and actually letting everybody know what had happened during their relationship. So Amber wasn't quite as mad yet as she got towards the end. So, you know, now she's decided she hates Beck, and so she'll just say whatever she wants about them.
All right, you guys, it is time for bad choices. That is where I take 5 of these guys and I answer them just fast like light speed. So 1, 2.
These are all really stupid and usually pretty gross, so I don't even know why we're doing this.
3, 4, 5. All right, would you drink a cup of blood for $5,000? That would never happen. Absolutely not. Have you ever been cut off at a bar? No, because it never comes to that point. If you were a therapist, would you sleep with your patients? No, that was like the craziest question ever. Have you ever FaceTimed someone naked? Yes, obviously. Have you ever puked and rallied? I don't really know what that means.
So in case you don't know, puke and rally is when you're drinking so much that it makes you sick. But then once you throw up, you feel better and you're like, hey, I'm ready to drink some more. That's puke and rally. It's a very unhealthy behavior. I would not recommend it.
Does that mean like you drank and then you puked and then you just kept going? One time or maybe twice. One time was with Destiny and Dana, and it was literally the most embarrassing thing ever, but they both took care of me and I thought it was the sweetest thing. Like Dana was like holding my hair back. It was genuinely so sweet. It was like a bonding experience. We were both drunk. We're like crying to each other. We're like, oh my God, we could have been best friends. It was like a whole moment. Anyways, I'm gonna go. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Got her. Well, I mean, what else do we expect from the Let's Talk series, you know, other than just people telling her how great she is and her showing off her delusion? But this one was a little worse than usual because she actually doubled down again on Beck, not basically making her go to the doctor. Like, what an asshole, you know? But I am just gonna go on record here and say I think there's still something fishy about her grocery store videos, right? Because I would like to know how she got there. Why is she not showing her mom at the grocery store? Or why is she not talking to her mom at the grocery store? Why is she trying to make it look like she's by herself at the grocery store? Because you know, with Amber, it's never as simple as what you're seeing, right? There's always more to it. Appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.